Silence is often misunderstood. Many people believe silence means weakness, fear, or lack of confidence. But psychology shows something very different. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is pressure. When you stop reacting, explaining, or defending yourself, the balance of power changes. Not because you become distant, but because you remove emotional access. In social and emotional dynamics, power is rarely about strength. It is about control over reactions. In this video, you will understand why silence is one of the most powerful psychological tools, how it affects the human mind, how it shifts power in relationships and social interactions, and when silence truly works, and when it does not. Chapter 1. Why the human mind fears silence. The human brain depends on feedback, words, reactions, tone of voice, emotional signals. These elements help people feel oriented in social situations. When feedback disappears, the brain does not relax. It becomes uncomfortable. Silence creates uncertainty, and uncertainty triggers anxiety. This happens because the mind is wired to predict outcomes. When there is no response, the brain loses its reference points. Insecure minds feel especially threatened by silence. They depend heavily on external validation. Without signals, they start imagining negative explanations. They ask themselves questions like, did I lose control? Did I say something wrong? What are they thinking right now? Psychologically, silence forces people to face their own internal dialogue. And for many, that dialogue is filled with doubt, fear, and overthinking. This is why silence feels heavy to some and powerful to others. Those who rely on external reassurance feel destabilized. Those who rely on inner stability remain calm. Silence does not create fear. It reveals it. Chapter 2. How silence shifts power. Dynamics. Power in communication usually belongs to the person who reacts less. The more you explain yourself, the more emotional access you give away. Every reaction provides information. Your tone reveals your confidence. Your words reveal your intentions. Your emotions reveal your vulnerabilities. Silence changes this dynamic completely. When you stop reacting, others lose access to your emotional state. They cannot read you. They cannot predict you. They cannot control the direction of the interaction. This creates psychological imbalance. And imbalance creates pressure. People naturally seek balance in social situations. When they feel they have lost control, they try to restore it. They talk more. They explain more. They reveal more. Silence does not remove power. It quietly transfers it. The person who remains calm and controlled while others react emotionally is usually perceived as dominant, not because of aggression, but because of stability. Chapter 3. Why silence makes people reveal themselves. Silence does not hide information. Silence pulls information out of others. When you stay calm and quiet, people feel the need to fill the space. They begin to talk more than they planned. They justify themselves. They explain motives that were never questioned. Psychologically, silence works like a mirror. People project their inner tension into the empty space. This is why controlled silence is such a powerful tool for understanding others. It allows you to observe without interference. You see what people say when they are not being guided by your reactions. In many situations, the loudest behavior comes from insecurity. The calmest behavior comes from confidence. Silence creates a psychological environment where people expose their priorities, fears, and intentions, not because they want to, but because they cannot tolerate emotional stillness. Chapter 4. Silence against manipulation and control. Manipulation depends on emotional reaction. Guilt needs response. Gaslighting needs explanation. Control needs engagement. Without emotional engagement, manipulation loses its foundation. When you do not react emotionally, manipulative tactics collapse. The manipulator is forced to escalate. And escalation exposes intention. This is why calm silence feels threatening to controlling personalities. They lose leverage the moment they lose access to your emotions. Silence does not mean surrender. It means refusal to play emotional games. Psychologically, this creates a shift in power. The manipulator becomes uncertain. The target becomes unpredictable. And unpredictability is the one thing controlling personalities cannot tolerate. Chapter 5. Silence in Attraction and Relationships. Attraction grows in emotional space. When everything is explained, nothing feels mysterious. When reactions are constant, nothing feels valuable. Silence restores that space. Not silence as punishment, not silence as withdrawal. Silence as emotional strength. Psychology shows that calm restraint increases perceived value. People associate emotional control with confidence. They associate confidence with stability, and stability with attraction. This is why silence often creates attraction without effort, not because of manipulation, but because of presence. Confidence is not loud. Confidence is calm. People are drawn to those who do not need to prove themselves. Chapter 6. When silence does not work, silence is not magic. It is not a shortcut to power. Silence fails when it is used to punish. Silence fails when it hides insecurity. Silence fails when it avoids responsibility. People can feel the difference between calm silence and tense silence. One feels stable, the other feels heavy. Forced silence creates discomfort. Calm silence creates authority. If silence feels painful inside you, it will not feel powerful to others. Psychologically, effective silence comes from emotional regulation, not from emotional avoidance. Chapter 7. The real source of power. Silence is not powerful by itself. Emotional self-control is powerful. Silence is only the external expression of inner stability. When you are calm, silence feels natural. When you are insecure, silence feels forced. People do not fear silence. They fear losing access to your emotional reactions. They fear losing influence. They fear losing control. They fear losing predictability. And that is why silence, when used correctly, becomes one of the strongest psychological tools you can have. Conclusion. The most powerful people are not reactive. They are not defensive. They are not loud. They are calm. Silence is not absence. Silence is strength without noise. When you stop explaining yourself to everyone, you stop giving your power away. And that is the real psychology behind silence.